everybody.
Hello.
So, everybody, I would love you to meet a dear friend of mine, Gabriela Ragati Pinches, who I met networking actually, and I'm sure that there are some of you in here who already know her because she gets around a bit, if I'm honest, in the nicest possible sense.
I was going to say.
So, Gabriela's come on to do a little bit of a lunch and learn because I have watched her journey since joining BNI. I remember you popping into one of the Diamond meetings, but there was already a travel counsellor, which is what you were at the time in there. So you didn't join, but you joined another chapter, and then you like exploded. You've exploded into this kind of powerhouse of networking and referral marketing, which I think is really good for everybody in this group to learn about. So Gabriela, do you want to just give us an insight as to a little bit of who you are, what your journey's been?
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you, and thank you for having me here. And hello to everyone that is listening or will watch in after it's recorded. So yeah, thank you for that intro. I mean, that is kind of my style, to just go in and explode a bit. So as you said, indeed, I met my first encounter with BNI was September 2019. I came to Diamond chapter in October 2019. At the time, I was launching my travel business, which I do still have as a side revenue stream. So I'd still make people to leisure and corporate inquiries. I just don't operate it myself. The pandemic then came, very rightly so. And, it all kind of went off a cliff. And then in the meantime, our BNI journey kept progressing. So we launched the Apollo chapter, which is also Milton Keynes. I ended up president for it because you then tend to land yourself these jobs. Kelli knows, she was secretary treasurer. And anyway, so basically, I then launched another business in October last year, which is business development consultancy, which was always my passion. I was always the connector. And then in the past year, I've worked with several different clients on referral partnerships, strategic partnerships, how to leverage your network in the best possible way, but also how to make BNI work in the best possible way, or other networks, not just BNI. And that brings us back to today, where I represent Transworld business brokers as a business development and partnerships director. And that is now my main role for 3 days a week. And then I also still run my own business development consultancy business.
Yeah, you honestly watching your journey has been quite phenomenal. The speed at which you work and connect people is unreal. I don't know that I could not do that. I mean, I love to connect people, but your energy that you bring to it is something different. Your journey with BNI, you say that we've all got suckered into jobs, which I absolutely agree with you. Because yes, I was secretary treasurer for a while. I've been on the membership committee and all bits and bobs. I don't think I've ever been suckered in as much as you, and I say that once again in the most lovely way, because you went from a guy helping to set up the chapter to being the president. Now you're what do we call them now? I can't remember.
Director consultant. Really fancy title.
Yeah. But not only are you a director consultant, you now have a network of other director consultants as well, is almost like a little power team in itself. And you've just won an award.
I know.
What was the award for?
So it was Director Consultant of the Year. Now, just to explain the way it works in BNI is obviously by region. So this was head office region, which is Bedfordshire, Oxfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Hertfordshire, London West, London Northwest, which we call the head office region, which is run by Tim Cook and Charlie Lawson as executive directors overall, who are also co-national directors for BNI. It was a meeting with director consultants that we had on Monday, which hasn't happened for 2 years because of the pandemic. And they did awards for core values in BNI, and amazing, and I just sat there thinking, I've got no chance to win anything, these people are just amazing. And they've been in BNI for years as director consultants. And then they came to the peer awards. So this was Director Consultant of the Year, but voted by peer. So other director consultants or people from head office. and that's the one that won. So it was quite emotional, yeah. And
that is beautiful.
I just have lots of friends, in BNI, basically.
how much did you pay them?
I know, right? Yeah, a lot. Yeah. But it was amazing, and I'm one that I don't really post much on social media. I don't really, but I did post on both Facebook and LinkedIn that day because I was so amazing in a daze myself. Yeah. And I have to say, the power of social media, it is amazing. LinkedIn got 4,000 views for that. I never had 4,000 views in my life. So, anyway, but it was just amazing to also recognize some people that have helped me in that journey. And I have named them there. And our DC, Steve Brightson, and my fellow DC, Darren Street, that helped me. We worked together as leadership team, and then we launched an Oxfordshire chapter called Challenger this year together as launch DCs, and then we became support DCs together. So the journey just and became friends and so on. Tim Cook, Charlie Lawson, Catherine Saggers, Martin Ridewood, these are key people in BNI that people tend to know. They've been in BNI.
Yeah, if you're in BNI, you know them, or you know of them at least. At the very least.
And Monday I was in a room with all of them and with other DCs from across the region, which was just a bit surreal. And they are all awesome. And but absolutely your power team, strategic power team.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that people tend to miss when they do networking, that to have a really strong power team is better than having in my opinion, and you are more than welcome to disagree with me, but it's better than having a ridiculously large chapter for you. So if you can focus on getting members in who support your cause, what can come out of that is absolutely magic.
That they always say that, and we learn this in support DC training, they always say that an amazing chapter is the one that is balanced, where you have, let's say, 5 power teams or 4 power teams, but you do have at least 5-6 people in each power team, because then they work really well together. And you're supposed to get something crazy like 67% of your referrals from within your power team in a chapter. So the more you make that work. But I think what I found in BNI as well, that again probably a lot of people miss, is that the power teams are not really, you create them, right? So it's not something that kind of everyone goes, right, this is it, right? So I created actually a B2B DC's power team, so a B2B director consultants power team myself about 6 to 9 months ago, which is just director consultants from across the country. And there's about 8 of us, and we meet monthly and we talk about, a bit of everything. And we also support each other. But we are in different counties, which is really awesome because we have different networks. So, but no one tells you to do that. You could just start it yourself. I mean,
this is the power of BNI, and especially since they've widened it up. Now, I remember being a member of Diamond back in the days where everything was just chapter based. You couldn't. Yeah, local. You couldn't go anywhere else. There was no. You could connect to people that were in BNI, but it wasn't encouraged to go out and explore other chapters. Whereas just before the pandemic, I can't remember how long ago because I wasn't a member at that point, but they've opened it up so you can explore everyone and anyone. And I've called it the passport, haven't they? And you can go anywhere in the country, maybe even the world. I don't know.
At the moment, especially with Zoom, you can literally visit anywhere across the world. Obviously, you have to not clash with a category that exists, but a lot of people are really open to that and just go, look, even if you do something similar, I'm happy with you to visit because we can actually collaborate really well. And I think the people that leverage the network in the best possible way, they look not just at their own chapter, they look locally, they look nationwide, internationally, if that is your market, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me then, because you've made a real success, and not just like a real success. When you had the travel business, your networking was brilliant. Then you've changed or evolved your business. So you started up your
business development.
Business development company. Because of the strength of how you connect people and how open you are into doing that. So could you give an explanation as to how you approach connecting people and how you operate so these guys in the group could do so?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think everyone that knows me knows that I talk a lot, but I do also listen a lot, despite what some people might think. I do listen a lot because I feel that everything that someone tells you send some signals, that there's a reason behind them saying that. And that is a personal level. I have really high empathy levels, sometimes not a good thing, but I have really high empathy levels. So if someone says something, I really try to help straight away. But also at business level, people just either really brag sometimes about things, or sometimes they moan about things, and my instinct is just to try and find a solution. I am a solution finder. I'm a fixer. I kind of go, right, well, how can I help you with that? And then in terms of business development consultancy, really how I do it is I have that type of brain that is just constantly connecting the dots where other people don't see them. Which is kind of my superpower, as some of my clients say. That's your superpower. You just see the connections where other people miss them, even though they know the same people. They haven't necessarily put two and two together sometimes. And I just really like talking to someone, obviously classic BNI style, saying, okay, who would you like to be talking to? Who are your, I also feel that people focus a bit too much on ideal clients. And then that's kind of where it stops, a bit like what you said earlier. So I always go, okay, ideal clients are great. I really want to know, who are your ideal clients, but who are your ideal referral partners? Yeah. And have you got any? Who are your strategic collaborators? And have you got any? And I was surprised. I mean, in the BNI world, I was surprised at how many businesses go, no, I don't, and I haven't really thought about it. And I go, really?
I have a scorecard that helps people assess where their marketing is. You can't do everything. I appreciate that, but in a perfect world, a scorecard would help you kind of look at the areas where you're maybe lacking. And one of the questions in there is, do you have any referral strategic partners? And it doesn't get ticked. People don't have them. And I do wonder, especially for accountants who are in such a prime position to be that connector, why not?
Accountants are the best. I'm not just saying that because we're talking to a group of accountants. Honestly, if you talk to anyone in business, that is who they want to connect with, right? And granted, accountants are also busy. Accountants also have a life. They don't want everyone literally knocking on their door going, oh, I want to work with you. But it's more obviously from your perspective, for your audience, how can you leverage that, right? How can you get really clever about it and go, right, if everyone wants my attention and my contact, which you do have because you have clients, whether you have 10 clients or 100 or 1,000, you have those clients, right? And how can you leverage that to, one, increase what you offer to your clients primarily, right? Because we all want to offer better service to our clients and, to help them. Ultimately, that's why we all do what we do. Obviously, we want to make money, but that there is a why behind it. And then, okay, I have a network that I can leverage through these connections. And this is where I really love helping people at the BD consultancy level, and just go, okay, so who can you work with as an accountant? And as an accountant, where do I start and where do I end? I mean, there are so many, but just to give, if I was to pick like 3 examples, and this is based on my work in the past year as well. So obviously Transworld, which we'll talk about in a minute, who are now my main client, my main role. I would take private medical insurance, which I have a partner that I work on that with. And then I would say legal contacts. So as an accountant, there's just no way. You will constantly be hearing these conversations, right? You will look at people's accounts, you will see what's happening, and you will go, have they got, private medical insurance for their personnel? And that is such a nice employee benefit that you could offer. Have they got, do they need support at that legal level? Whether they're a startup and they just need basic, T's and C's and stuff, or whether they're bigger and they really need to look at that strongly. And what is their exit planning strategy? Have they got one? Apparently only 10% of people do.
I know, I find it absolutely bonkers. And that they get to the end and they think that they can sell their business, and all of a sudden they realise that they needed to be working towards it for the past years.
I know, because then the business is not sellable. Oops.
And they like, you're thinking in the back of your mind, oh, that's my retirement plan, I'll sell the business at some stage, and then it doesn't happen. I mean, how devastating would that be? Awful.
Yeah.
So having these strategic partnerships and referral partnerships in place, not only do they bring in business now, and that, you know, that's what people kind of see these this partnerships. That's how they value the partnerships. It's not necessarily about that. It's also about adding value to your client base and being the go-to person and supporting them in other areas of their business, because you have the eyes and you can see where they need stuff. I recorded a podcast yesterday with a company, and I can't remember the company's name now, but they're a Zero app, and they look at energy bills and other types of bills as well. And they do this all for free for the accountant. You just have to onboard the clients with them, and then they look at their energy and tell you which ones they can support, so you can provide that to your clients. I mean, why wouldn't you be doing something like that with minimal effort?
Yeah, this is it. Why would you not leverage that? And why would you not, you know, why would you not be flying your own brand's flag by being that go-to person, and by being basically being a bit of a guru when it comes to business, right? Because accountants do become that, right? And especially for smaller businesses, okay, maybe as businesses really grow, they have inside, you know, they've got a finance director, they've got a, you know, they've got a HR director, they've got a sales director, they've got all of these. But let's admit it, how many companies get to that level? Not so many. There are so many, you know, smaller companies that really need support. And if you are that go-to person, and obviously everyone does it in a different way, whether you have a systemized process where it's a box ticking, you know, do you offer this? Have you got this in place? X, Y, Z. And then obviously it drives that questioning, or whether it is just from natural conversation, if you are that type of person. But I think it comes as well from people being a bit worried that they sound too salesy. Yeah. I found that, you know, and thinking, oh, but I can't possibly, because I will annoy my client, because if I ask them all these questions, they will think that I'm just trying to push stuff to them.
Yeah, that's a really valid point. I'm really pleased you brought that up, because a lot of the time, not just accountants, but people struggle to sell anyway, period. Let alone when they're thinking they're going to be perceived as selling something to somebody else or gaining from it. Now, we live in this world where we have a ton of influencers, if we just go down that road for a minute. And there has been some really strict guidelines with how they need to perceive, or how they need to show that they're advertising and where they're taking money, and so on and so forth. And I think accountants and other people seem to steer away, or think it's unethical if they were to earn money from these referrals. I don't necessarily think so. I think if you've got the best interest of that customer at heart and you earn from that, great, in my opinion. What do you think?
Look, I massively agree. I mean, you know, there are certain trades and there are certain industries where it is really, like you say, is quite regulated. So absolutely, you always have to be ethical and respect those rules. I'm a massive rule follower, you know, which is also what I like being.
I like to be known as the rebellious one, but I'm probably one of the most like non-rebellious people. I'm a total brownie at heart.
I think, you know, I think it's kind of being creative, let's put it this way, but also like certain rules. Of course, if the regulations say, look, you have to declare any sort of referral fees that you get, absolutely 100%. So for an example, with Transwell, then we'll talk about Transwell in a sec, but with Transworld, we offer 10% referral fees, right? And accountants and solicitors, of course, very, very often or always say, look, but we have to declare it and so on. And it's like, yeah, absolutely fine, obviously declare it. Or if people really don't want to take it, we give it to charity. We say, okay, what would be a charity of your choice? And we give that 10% to a charity of your choice. Yeah. Obviously, if they really just don't want anything to do with it, you just go, okay, no, that's fine. You're just supporting the client, you know. But I do find that in financial services, the referral partnerships that are also financial rewards are very much in place, because people help each other. But I do think where the line is a really tricky one for some people is, I'm not going to refer someone just because I make a fee. Never. I would never do that.
I like BNI. I don't refer to people in BNI because they're a member of BNI. I refer to them because I've got to know, like, trust them, and I believe they're the right choice. They're not always the right choice. Don't always refer them.
and you then refer cross chapter, and that's obviously something, and this is where, you know, being in the director consultant community now in the past, so from February we have a WhatsApp group, and you know, you think, right, so we've got 40 director consultants, executive directors, area MDs. If I put an inquiry there of someone that needs something, their reach is 1,000 members. So I honestly say to people now, without sounding a bit funny, you know, I just say, look, come to me with anything, personal or business, and if I don't know, I might know someone, but if I don't, I will put it in my network and I can probably get you an answer. I'm talking kind of within the hour, not kind of in a week, because it's very reactive. People would jump on it. And I found someone in Oxfordshire, a removals company, that is a director consultant that is London way, but she has nationwide reach. You know, it's just so, but you know that these are trusted people, because I think this is the problem that some people fear this, right? They go, it's my reputation on the line. And it absolutely is, and I've felt that myself, right? It's my reputation on the line. If I do an introduction, if I refer someone, I really want the referral partner, or even they might not be a referral partner, they might just be a BNI member that I refer to, right? But I want them to treat that inquiry as if it's gold, as if it's, you know, I need to be hot on it. I need to, you know, and we're not perfect. We're all people. Like, obviously I have a massive list to do as well, don't get me wrong, but just treat it as if, you know, it's like the best inquiry you're going to get that day, that week, that year, potentially. And then feedback. So if I refer someone, I really like to get feedback from who I referred and also who I referred it to get a bit of feedback from both parties and go, okay, how did that go? Because that helps with future ones, right?
It does. And it strengthens your relationship and understanding as well. It's something that I haven't done enough of, if I'm honest with you.
I think in BNI as well, it's the classic thing is that your reputation will travel. So if okay, we're all human again, like sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we miss something, sometimes, you know, maybe we weren't like at our best or something, but generally, you know, let's say 80% of the time you get an idea whether someone is someone that you would refer to again or not. Right?
Definitely.
And if not, then, or sometimes you might give them a second chance, but very rarely a third one if they didn't deliver, right?
There's definitely people in this world that I would not refer to, not on my life.
This is what I mean.
You have to make that judgment, and it's not the same for everybody, because like people treat people differently, and people have different experiences and biases and all kinds of stuff. So you have to take it on you know, from your own values.
But I also think something, just to quickly add, you have to do it personality wise as well, and also what is the actual inquiry, because I know different people, right? But I can talk to someone and they go, you know, I'm looking for such and such, and I might know 2 or 3, and not necessarily because I get referral fees or anything like that, but I do look at the person, you know, I go, you would not get on with that person, you would get on with this one, you know, and I think that's the value behind it, because then both parties will be happy. You know, the business, because I send them an ideal client for them because they get on really well, and, you know, it's a really like pleasant experience, and the client goes, oh, brilliant, this is a, you know, it's a bit of matchmaking, you know, personal level.
See, this is why you take it so much deeper than some other people. But I think you're right, it's not, you know, it's not all about ticking a box, which people misunderstand about networking. And this is why people who don't understand don't particularly like the BNI framework, because it's trackable. Everything is so trackable, therefore it's monitored, therefore you're under pressure to deliver, and you know, so I understand that. But if you don't have a referral, I would much prefer in my chapter for somebody to say, I don't have one, rather than waste someone's time, which has happened to me numerous times, or pass something that's just a load of old rubbish. So you have to care, and I think that's what you do particularly well. You really care about the connection, as you've just proved, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the, you know, I generally want to help people, and I've always been this person. I've always been the organizer of things. I just land myself in, you know, I'll organize this from when I was in high school, or, you know, in school. I think I was head of class when I was like in primary and secondary.
That does not surprise me.
You know, I remember that when I ended up being president. I was like,
I think I went to class. Does that count?
I've done it again, you know. But and my daughter, funnily enough, got like school counselor badge on her second day in her new school. I was like, oh, here we go. but you know, you just have that natural inclination. And I think so I'm originally from Romania, and in Romania everything is done on word of mouth. So, you know, you never look anywhere else. You just ask your network, your friends, family, your business network. You go, who would you recommend for such and such? So I've seen that done all my life. So I've got it in me that, you know, I would always do that. But I think it is genuinely just trying to help people and to connect people and also see beyond the immediate. And I think this is, again, where I work really best with people, when I see the long term. So, you know, it's not immediate business. If I introduce you now to someone, it's not because there's money on the table right now. That relationship might take a year to cultivate.
We've discussed this before in our little chit chats. But it's not, you see the value in connection without having to have an immediate need, but those connections pay off over time, and now you're rewarded for them, because people are like, this has come to fruition, this has come to fruition, this is happening, this is happening, and it's like months like down the line,
or years, really. I mean, in 2 years in BNI, I now see some stuff that started right from the beginning, and you go, wow, okay. And a classic example, without naming any names, it was a visitor that I brought to Apollo in February last year. And it was nothing to do with the person that connected them to. And to be fair, I didn't connect them to that person. It was just, we were leaving and they started talking to each other. And they found that they've got a mutual interest in a particular industry. I'm trying to stay sort of confidential, even though he tells these stories, but I'm not him. So, you know, and they kept in touch then for 10 months. For 10 months, they were discussing things, they were building that relationship, and, you know, maybe doing some stuff that never went anywhere. You know, but they never gave up on that contact. They kept cultivating that relationship. 10 months down the line, last December, I got a phone call saying, I will just thank you for £6,500 worth of business, because that's the fee that I just got from this person that I met 10 months ago because you brought them to that meeting. And then for the past year, so that was a year ago, for the past year, I got phone calls again and again. Not so often, but, you know, oh, there's another deal that went through, there's another deal that went through. And, you know, that probably can add up.
It gives me goosebumps. It makes me like, I get excited about this for other people. It really makes me happy.
But I think people need to pursue them. You know, I think that's where a lot of people don't. And I give referrals. I mean, you know, everyone thinks it's ridiculous because I give sometimes like 3-5 as a minimum at each meeting, and people go, but, you know, whatever, they're just introductions sometimes. Well, they are, but if you cultivate it a year down the line, you could make that £6,500.
Not everything has to be. There was if you haven't been to BNI, there is a level, like a thermometer thing, isn't there? So it's like
1 to 5.
1 to 5. And you don't have to pass grade 5 referrals all the time. The introductions, as long as they're good introductions, you know, they're sometimes worth their weight in gold, but you just have to nurture it. And it's not always, people just want immediate return constantly.
Yes. People want it now. We live in the society of buy now on Amazon. Buy now, you know. And
buy now, have it delivered yesterday.
Yeah, and people then think, well, this is what I'm doing for Christmas shopping because I haven't done any, you know, but why now? Can it come tomorrow? But it's just, I think what people, the best people that I've worked with over the past year, and obviously in BNI for 2 years, but the best people I've worked with in the past year have seen that, for example, if I bring a referral partner to the table or a strategic partner, I see that synergy. I see how, like you say, you know, if I work with them, let's say for 6 months at business development consultancy level, and I bring you a referral partner a month, but obviously to get to that, I pre-qualify so many, right? But if I leave you with 6 referral partners after 6 months of working together, in my eyes and heart, you know, I go, well, you could be set for life, because that referral partner, hopefully, if you've cultivated that relationship in the right way, can give you business every month. Right? So 6 referral partners that bring you 6 pieces of business on a monthly basis. I mean, that could be literally all you need in your business, right?
So
but it's the long game. And I always say to people, look, take them to golf, take them to lunch, take them to social stuff, take them. It's not all about how can I get business out of you in the fastest way. People hate that. Yeah, people hate that. People hate that.
I think you have to be really careful with who you specifically as a business development consultant works with, because you need to work with people who appreciate that and value that and will go in for the long ride as opposed to the quick wins all the time.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me on to your partnership with Transwell, because that's something else that's come out of everything that we've just discussed. And is a wonderful referral partnership for many other people as well. So tell me about Transworld.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that long-term relationship. So but once again, BNI, and this is why I'm such a BNI at heart. So I met John Groves, who is my client that has the Transworld Milton Keynes franchise, in September last year. And he joined BNI Apollo, and straight away we had a one-to-one. I remember it was the first one-to-one I've ever had with him. On the phone, I was doing a walk. We were in lockdown still, I think. And, I was doing a walk and I had a one-to-one with him, and I told him about my new business idea and on how I'm pivoting and so on. We discussed how that would work and so on. And then literally there and then he went, yeah, I'll take a day a week. Yeah, I'll take a week. That's John, he's very decisive, very, action driven. Yeah, I'll take a day a week with you and let's make it work. Well, no, to be fair, we did meet for a coffee. I did forget that bit. No, he did take me out for a coffee first. Yeah. Or I took him out for coffee. No, anyway, no. So basically we started the business development consultancy, and really the prime, so John launched Transworld Milton Keynes. It's a franchise. So he bought that franchise in April last year. So right in the pandemic, right? So he started building that business from scratch, basically, in terms of his own database. He's an ex-accountant, so, he will get where you are as accountants. But also he sold 3 businesses of his own. So he had an IT one, a telecom one, a media one. He's been there, done that, knows the pain. And actually he became a business broker because he didn't like the ones that he worked with when he was selling. And basically thought, well, I can do that better. Anyway, so basically I met him, we started working together, and the prime focus that I had for 2021 with Transworld was find referral partners, right? So accountants, IFAs, business advisors, business coaches, solicitors. These are the 5 key categories, because we know that these are the people that talk to the businesses that are considering selling in the future, not immediately, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So I just, really started smashing through one-to-ones in the BNI network primarily with people that fit in those categories, right? And we found that, I could probably find about 10 referral partners a month, because of course there's many categories that fit into that, and everyone wants to work in this model. Transworld offer 10% fee out of the fee that they would make when they sell a business. So very open, very, just really ethical. So that's what I've been doing for a year for Transworld. And then I work so well with John because he is a top seller. He's got a top seller mentality, and he actions everything. He follows up everything. It's all in the follow-up. And everything, follow up. He doesn't let anything slip through the net, right? Therefore, the business that he's developed in the pandemic is just absolutely phenomenal. He's applying for some awards at the moment, and I'm sure he'll get them. Then we got to October-ish this year. But he always understood it's the long game. He never expected miracles overnight. He knows that's not how it works. He had 3 businesses and sold them, right? Yeah. And basically we got to about October, and we had a conversation around, okay, obviously what we're doing, and how great we work together. And that's how it progressed to my role of business development and partnerships director within Transworld for 3 days a week. And actually from January that is becoming an employed role as well, which is amazing. Which I never really wanted an employed role in the past, and he never necessarily wanted an employee, but actually developed organically. It was something that we both wanted. So here we are. And then
ability of a salary again, get you.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's great, and I think the main driver there is that I really want to fly the flag for Transworld in a, I'm really involved. Not that I was never not involved being a consultant, but I really want to represent it for that's my prime role. And then obviously I will also keep a bit of retained clients and some partnerships on my own side, but yeah, that's how and to give you, I guess, a little bit about Transworld and how we can work together with the accountants audience. So Transworld business brokers have been going for 40 years. They actually, the name is Transworld Business Advisors, but if we say brokers, everyone gets that really easily. So 40 years they've been going. They've got 450 brokers worldwide, sold about 10,000 businesses in 40 years. So, they really know what they're doing. Yeah. And primarily we look for people that look to sell their business, but sometimes you do get people wanting to buy a business or looking for investments or wanting to franchise their business. That's also an interesting one that we can support with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which
there's
is something
definitely one person in this group who has that on their radar. I'll introduce you.
There you go. Connections, and I think it's working with referral partners, I've noticed in the past year. So like accountants, you have the conversations, of course. There's never necessarily an immediate need. Sometimes people go, oh yeah, I've got a client that I'm discussing that with at the moment, like potential exit strategy and so on. Other times it's a slow burner. You just keep in touch and so on. And actually what we're doing now is we are putting people in the database if they want to be in the database, and we are going to start sending a quarterly newsletter for referral partners. So so people are, they keep being updated with news and success stories of businesses being sold and stuff. But how to work together, so how to work together with me and then with Transworld is, in terms of setting up referral partnerships with Transworld, is really straightforward. We have a conversation, we get people set up. If they have someone looking to sell or buy, invest, franchise, they get 10% fee on completion. And this is where Transworld actually win it. Transworld do a free valuation of the business, and also they charge no upfront fees.
Okay.
Which is a really big USP, because a lot of brokers charge 10, 15, 20,000 pounds upfront. Transworld don't. You do a free valuation, they need 3 years worth of books. So accountants obviously love that. Then John is an ex-accountant, so he does the valuation quite easily. Okay. Then if they want to move forward, they sign a marketing agreement for 12 months for Transworld to sell their business. And then the business goes live. Transworld also put together the marketing material. So they put together a brochure that is done by head office for free. Obviously, if they want something fancier, then they can have that done. But as in not through us, through marketing specialists. But basically, then that goes live. And as soon as the business is live, then we start getting buyers. And to give you an idea, sometimes you could get 50 inquiries per business. Right. And this is the type of work that the brokers do in the background, trying to speak to all the buyers, trying to pre-qualify, trying to really get the hottest prospects, and then eventually introduce them to the sellers to actually have that conversation and see if we can progress. And apparently 80% of businesses sales fall through if it's not done through a broker, through someone that really knows what they're doing, even after they had the offer agreed. Huh. Yeah. So which is interesting stuff.
I mean, I think who knew it was going to be such a volatile thing, but actually this is your life's work. Often there's got to be so much that can go wrong, and there's so many emotions attached to it too.
And you know what you said about where accountants can be really good mentors as well, I guess, for the clients. When you sell their business, when someone sells their business, you have to, after you have an offer, you have to go through due diligence. And due diligence is crazy. Anyone that has been through the process can confirm that. It's, tens, hundreds of pages sometimes of things that need to get done. Not to put people off, but it's really labor intensive. And ideally that due diligence has to start before they plan to sell, And really, always, that due diligence always has to be there. So, have you got your HR contracts fine? Have you got legal contracts? Have you got the website sorted? Have you got, because this is what a buyer would look at. If all of that is not sorted, it's not good.
I spoke to somebody the other day, and it was like paperwork just kept on being put, who sold their business for a few £1 million, and he said the process of this due diligence and the amount of paperwork was overwhelming. He just said it just kept on coming. They wanted to know every single detail, and then they would want to know again, So,
which is why, I mean, there are things that you can't quite anticipate 100%, but there are things that. Whoop.
Sorry, I'm just checking for comments, and I put the sound on by accident. Sorry about that.
No, I was going to say, and this is why, ideally due diligence is always throughout a business. You always have all your processes, all your systems, all your, you're always on top of everything. So then even at the point when you go, yes, I do want to sell it right now, you feel like you're as prepared as possible. That is the biggest catch, not to wait until the offer is on the table, because then if that process starts, not only it delays the sale, it can give the buyer a bit of leverage to want a lower price if things are not quite right. So you just lose from the value of the business. So I mean, look, I'm no expert, I'm not the business broker, I'm the business development person, but I've just learned as I
you pick it up. You definitely pick it up. So tell me then, if accountants wanted to have these conversations with their clients and then potentially have a discussion about passing referrals to you, where should they focus? What kind of conversations should they be having with the clients?
Yeah, so I think, if you are to look at your database of clients, and let's say you've got 10, 100, 1,000 different people, different shoes, it's to really look at the ones that, well, it could be a few things. It could be the ones that are heading towards retirement, because that conversation you just know is coming. So 55 plus, that's a classic. The second one is the ones that things are going on. It could be health, it could be family related, it could be things are going on that are not quite right, and they're just not really either they feel that they can't cope with the business anymore, or they just don't want to be they don't want to be in the business anymore because of personal reasons, right? So these are different reasons that people want to sell. Others could be startups, but they've got that strategy, the exit strategy right from the beginning. They go, we're a startup, we've got an app, we want to build this XYZ for 2 years, then exit. So it's just these different signals. The sweet spot for Transworld is 1 to 10 million in terms of when people want to sell. That is not to say we're not going to look at smaller businesses. We absolutely do. A lot of the businesses we sell are family-owned businesses.
Yeah.
So, they're not going to be necessarily $1 million plus. They will be 100K, 200K, 500K, which is absolutely, conversations that we have. So I would say, look in your database of clients and think, which would be your top 3 that you feel are reaching that, or you get the signals from them that this is stuff that's happening in the background, and just ask the question, are you thinking about selling? Have you got an exit strategy have you planned that at all? And like you say, for some of them, it's really emotional. It's really, it's their baby. But this is where John is really good at as well. He can do a free valuation, and this is something that I can offer, obviously, as a, for your accountants to offer to their audiences. Would you like to have a free valuation of the business to get an idea of where you stand? But John is very good, because he is an ex-accountant. John is very good to look at that and go, okay, from my business broker experience, if you're thinking to sell right now, it would be this. If you want to grow it a bit further, year 2, then do XYZ, and that will make it look really good for the buyer. Yeah. And that will bump the value by 100K. Yeah. So he could give really useful tips to the accountant to say, that would be my advice to the client.
And isn't that an amazing piece of value to offer as well? Even if they had the valuation, even if you didn't take a referral fee, to be able to support them in their business growth, especially as we move into this area of advisory services, not just compliance. That's a really wonderful piece of information to give to these people that help them plan for their future. Like I just don't, it just sounds like something we should be doing.
Totally. And also I think a lot of people are really involved in the business, which is that catch-22, that if you are so involved in your business, how are you going to sell it?
Yeah.
Because if it's really like if you're not there, the business goes down, right? Then how can you exit, right? And I'm sure the accountants are having these conversations on a regular basis, so it's great if you just want to sell when you retire, that's fine, but have you left a management team, or what is the process, or how can it work if you're not there? Does it need someone exactly like you to take over?
Yeah.
Because I remember we were having a Transworld training at some point, and they were saying it's debatable, but if your business is you, it's not sellable.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, it's logical. If your business is you and you don't want to be there anymore, how can it possibly continue? It doesn't mean that somebody can't replace you. And I'm assuming, and we probably should have you or John or both back on to talk about this in more detail, but I'm assuming that it's about systems. If your systems are replicable, or if your company can be broken down into parts and resold, if your database is valuable, if you've got particular assets or so forth, then you can sell it. But if it's you acting as a consultant, probably not. Probably not.
Pretty much. And this is where John is really good, because obviously he has the ex-accountant experience, but he has 3 companies he sold himself.
Yeah.
And he can look very quickly at someone's situation and go, exactly what you said, so how are you paying yourself at the moment, or are you taking dividends, or what are your assets, or okay, so how does that work, and have you got these contracts in place, or so what happens if you leave?
Where is the value?
Do your clients go with you? Because they're just so invested in you that they will just disappear, or But yeah, you definitely should get John to really talk about that, because obviously that is his broker experience plus his past experience. It's definitely way above my my knowledge, but it's fascinating. I never thought a year ago that I would love it so much in terms of selling businesses, mergers and acquisitions, but it's a fascinating world. That
it sounds short. Like if I was at school and they were talking about mergers and acquisitions, I'd be like, oh my god, drop me out, that sounds awful. But as a business owner and somebody and I'm looking to create a business that would be sellable in the future, it absolutely fascinates me, and it's probably an area that I would like to move into myself at some point, because I just find it so cool.
Yeah,
but that's my nerd coming out.
And one thing that I would say as well, it is kind of watertight as well when it comes to, it will run regardless of the times. So for example, in COVID, I mean, touch wood, we're not going to go into another lockdown, or it's not going to go worse, it's hopefully going to get better. But in terms of the business brokerage world, the world keeps going around. It's a bit like property. The world keeps going around, and accountancy, the world keeps going around, because people need you to either sell a business because they want to just, that's it, give it up, or they want to buy a business because they think, this is the perfect opportunity for me to invest in something, because it's a great market. So it's been fascinating. While other industries of course have struggled more, this is one that is really, really solid. So I've loved that side of it as well.
Yeah. Well, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you today. Well, it always is when we have our catch-ups.
Especially when you talk about our lists and our, post-it notes and and hyper focused.
Yeah, not actually started that yet because something happened. I'll come on to that.
That's all right. You've got it there for Christmas reading.
I just need to get through this whole week, and then I'll be Christmas free. So yes, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. I definitely want you, and or John, to come back on and talk a little bit more about how we could probably prepare, maybe even the accountants, how they can prepare their business to sale, how their customers can be prepared.
Or accountancy firms sell the best, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
Accountancy firms are really,
And quite often, other practices grow through acquiring practices. That's their growth strategy. So rather
we have people at the moment. We literally have people at the moment that have asked us about that. So absolutely. They've told us that if we have any accountancy firms coming on board to sell, to keep them at the top of the list because they want to acquire some. So yeah, it's happening. Yeah.
So it's been fascinating. I'm going to drop a link into, is it your email that you would like to go into this, or is there a link to book a call with you?
I'd say if you drop my Transworld email and my mobile number, which is now the one ending in 82, that is obviously my main email now and my main mobile number. It is for my Transworld role, and I really think one-to-one, that would be the call to action. Would be book a one-to-one, because obviously we can discuss the Transworld referral partnership, but I also have other clients or past clients or people that I know that potentially could be good referral partners. But it's very, it really depends on each individual accountancy firm and what they feel comfortable with, and also what sort of clientele and all of those things. So
all of that jazz, but the first starting point is just a conversation, and there's no pressure in having a conversation. So I will go back into the group in a moment because I closed it down because it's making noise. And I will make sure that your contact details are in there. Awesome. But thank you ever so much for coming on.
It's been great. Thank you so much.